Hi, I'm Paul Brodie. We're in my shop. Welcome. The man behind the camera is Mitch. I want to thank him very much. He's doing a great job. We have a very small project today. We read the comments, and there's been a few comments lately. And one of the people who wrote in says, I was watching the brazing video and you have a holder on your torch. I don't think he especially likes my holder. He said it's just a hose clamp and a piece of bent wire. Isn't it possible you can do something better? So that was about a month ago, and I have been thinking about it, but I couldn't think of what to do exactly. And it was only on Sunday evening, it's Tuesday today, that I came up with this that I like. It's a two-piece clamp. That's where the torch goes, and then there's a rod, a stainless rod. So that's what we're going to do. It's the smallest job we've done so far in this series. That's the actual size right there. It's pretty small. I have some metal. This is 6061. I have stainless. I have a very small Allen screw. I wanted to keep it really minimal, sleek, elegant, if possible. So let's get started. We need to take a cut off this, make it down to the right size, and then I'm going to take a piece of cardboard, and the cardboard's going to go in between so that when I make the two holes the right size, when I take out the cardboard and put the Allen screw in, it'll have some clamping effect. That's my plan. Let's do it. I'm going to take a file, I'll take off the burrs. There's a nice big burr, and then we'll flip it over. I've got a Dreadnought file. That's the name of these files in England anyway. And these files were made at least back in the 60s. They used to be my father's. And he was in the aircraft industry, so something to do with aircraft. Way back when. I'm going off my CAD drawing. It's cardboard assisted design. One of the viewers wrote in with that. I like it. If I make that about 400 thou, so I got about 80 thou to come off. I'll take off 75. So maybe go to the hacksaw now and cut off a bit. You don't have to cut the whole thing because we need that much. Yeah, so if I cut down to there and I mill that, then this can get used for something else. It just goes back on the shelf. So we'll go hacksaw right now. Ichrometer for the middle. Looks good to me. So we're going to drill this all at the same time. That's the plan, because then the holes will be perfectly lined up. I'm going to make a mark there so I know it goes back on the same way. So there's my 4 mm taps, and the tap drill is 3.3 millimeters. If you want this to be level and on top, if you put it upside down, so it falls down, that's a good way of getting it level with the vise on the top. It's a little too tight. Okay, I'll get a numbered drill then, because the next drill is a little, oh. Yeah, I'll get a numbered drill. We'll do this properly. This is very handy having numbered drills. I use these a lot. So there's a 150, why don't we try this? This is 159, 158. Just a touch bigger. There we go, that's nice. 269. 264. It can be a little bit bigger. So this is 279. So it's 10 thou bigger. That'll be okay. And how this one is sharpened, it's not like that. It's more like that. So that'll work. Oh, it turned out nice. Let's tap a hole, 4 mil thread. I've got my anchor lube here. Just a little bit, you don't need a huge amount. And I use my micrometer, get it going straight. Pretty small tap, so I could break it if I'm not careful. It's a spiral point tap, so once I get going, I can just go straight down. If it's aluminum. On steel, maybe, maybe not. Depends how hard the steel is. It's a lot of work for a torch holder, I know, but I feel like I have the luxury of time. There you go, that's where the hole's gonna go. And if I cut this just a little bit undersized, then it's not gonna stick out past the surfaces. Like that. So there's my marks, they line up. Okay. So it's offset. I'm lining up. Can you see how I'm lining up that with the screw? Actually, I've moved the screw up in my mind a little bit. So there's the line for the torch. And there's the line for the holder. So we'll transfer those over to the other side, and then we'll be back in the mill. We got to use the digital readout, and we'll get the center, the exact center, and then we'll bore the hole. So this is going to be the larger hole, and this is the smaller hole, like that. I've got a reamer that's the exact size of the stainless rod. So that's the easy one. And then we have to use the boring bar for the bigger hole, because that's an accurate size too, just under 5/8. Line it up as accurately as I can. There we go. And there's my reamer. So it's a little bit under 5/8. If I make it 620, something like that, that's 5 thou less than 5/8. That'll be good. So I've got a drill here which is 9/16, so that's going to be 5/62, 5, and that'll work. And then we'll switch to the boring bar. I got 26 thou to come out. I'll do 20 thou and then I'll check it again. And that's the 20 thou. I'm going to take one more small cut and I won't change anything because there's a little flex in the tool, I'm sure. Might even only take out a thou or something. So it's 3 thou over, but then I set this to 618, so we're only 1 thou over. That's good. We're done there. Okay, so I'm using my scraper here, and I'm just taking off the edge. I'm putting on a chamfer. You can see the little burr come off, or the chip. There we go. All right, so the next step is to make something. It's called an arbor. Something has to go up here so that in the chuck on the rotary table, it can clamp down as well. So something has to go up there and have a thread, Allen screw, and a cap. That's what holds it as the rotary table turns. Let's see what we got. This is my aluminum section in a way. I got boxes of stuff. I might have to start from, oh, there's something. Okay, it's got a thread, so what I need to do is to turn this down, not all the way, and then have a little cap, a big washer. That's a pretty nice fit. Okay, we're good. So there, it's got a washer on the top. We'll tighten that down, we'll set it up in the rotary table, and we're good. I'm just going to use a small end mill. I'm going to use a 1/4 inch end mill. It doesn't want to grab as much. It wasn't absolutely perfectly centered, and I'll show you why. Because this is not quite smooth there, and then over here the end mill made a little mark where it ended. But a file will just smooth all that out and you won't know. You can actually see the bump here. Can you see the little bump? It's the art of camouflage, and I learned this in a machine shop when I was 18 years old. When we'd work on something and there'd be a little mark or a little something, you learn how to use emery cloth or a grinder or a sander, and it just makes it smooth. And then when the customer comes, they don't see that, and they think you've done a perfect job, which in a sense is true, but you're hiding little imperfections, or sometimes a bit bigger. So now we'll work on this side. We have to take off the bump. So I'll switch files. This one's a little bit, see how this one is a little bit coarser? Start with this file, then switch to the fine file. I'll use some finer sandpaper later to finish off. There we go. You can't tell which side was which now. Gonna make a mark here because I got to put the vise back on. So we're gonna shorten it that much. Okay, the vise goes back onto the mill. That's about what I want. I'm going to make a mark where I go to, right about there. I got a little piece of 1/8 inch cold roll flat bar. So I'm going to line up the line with the top of that. Okay. Okay, that's one down. I have to do a little bit of filing. I have to do some smoothing. I got to put a little radius on this end here, so I'm just going to work away. Just a little more. I've got some 180 paper, and that'll make it a little bit smoother. So, gives it a little bit more of a shine. Have to take out all the marks of the end mill. Got some red Scotch-Brite. After this, we're going to work on the hook. This is a piece of stainless, and it's got a question mark because I don't know what it is. I think it came from my father years ago, and I think it's 304, so hopefully we can weld it. I'm going to have a bend and then weld on a piece and file that all down with some diamond files. I've got my bending fixture. All it is a couple pieces that are TIG welded onto a bar. So I'm going to put a bend in this, and then I'll choose which side of the bend, because one side always has a straight section and then it kind of kinks a bit, and the other side has more of a radius. So I don't know which side I want yet. So we'll see what happens here. But I got to go to about a 90, I think. Something like that. So I've got that. So do you see how this is sharper here, and this is, it kind of blends in. So I want this part to be what goes into the mic stand. So I just have to figure out how far up it goes. So it's gonna go like that. And I think I need a little bit of a space there, so maybe about there. And then I'll take a straight section here, I'll cut it there. Then that piece is going to get welded on like that. And then we're going to smooth it all out, make it pretty. Let's go to the band. So I need to know how long this is going to be. So that's going to go like that. And then I want it to come out a little bit as well. So there's a little bit hanging out the bottom. So 3 cuts. That's it. It's cold out here. Let's go back inside. So that's my plan, like that. think what I'll do is I'm going to take a file and I'm going to miter it with a file. That'll make the welding a little bit easier. Matching my file size, sort of. Got to get in the groove here. There we go. Let's do a little TIG welding now. See how it gets really, really hot? It doesn't flow very far, that heat. I've had this heat sink for a long time. So in this container here on my diamond files, I've got a pretty good collection now, and some of them are straight and others have a bend to them, and they're all different shapes and sizes. So you have to choose the ones which work well for you. There you go, there's the belt sander. So you can see here, I get in there with these little files, little diamond files, and just going back and forth and round. And then this one worked quite well as I'm coming out because the radius gets larger. That was a lot of work, but it was satisfying. I liked it. And sometimes I was using this file to get going. This is a chainsaw file, and this is kind of worn, but I found the end, because when you're filing a chainsaw, you're using this part, but this part was handy on the belt sander sometimes. So I don't know if you're watching how closely, but sometimes I'm doing this and then sometimes I'm doing that. I'm not just going straight across, because if I go straight across, I'll end up with a groove somehow. So going that way a bit and then this way a little bit helps to even it out. It's like a little bit of a crosshatch with a file. Using all the same techniques I used on the belt sander to make that cage smooth. We just make it uniform with the Scotch-Brite. It kind of gives a satin finish to it. I like the look. Over time, it'll probably change a little bit, but not too much. There. So we're going to assemble now. This will be fun. It's worked for a lot of years, but it's coming off. Oh, funny hose clamp. Look at that. It actually dismantled itself. It's pretty grungy. We'll give it just a little bit of a shine. think that clamp's been on there for a very long time. So that's what it looks like after all that. Thanks for watching our videos. It's been a pleasure having you. If you like what you see, you can like, you can subscribe. There's a little arrow on your phone. You can access the description beneath. You can buy shirts, mugs, hoodies, and coffee. We both like coffee. Thanks for watching. See you next week. Stay safe.